Hello, good evening. I'm Josephine Frimpong, and tonight on Mission 2016, we'll focus on promoting social inclusion and development for the marginalized. Now the details. The presidential candidate, Ivor Greenstreet, has pledged his commitment to increase employment chances for the disabled if elected as president. He noted the physically challenged should be given equal employment opportunities to help promote inclusive development.
According to the United Nations, about 10% of the global population constitutes persons with disability. According to the 2010 Population and Housing Census, persons with disability constitute about 3.0% of the total population. Some persons with disability are unable to find jobs due to discrimination and stigmatization. The 33-year-old Sammy is a trained graduate teacher but unemployed. He laments his difficulties in his bid to find a job.
Since 2013, without a job, all you do is to lie in the room. Me, for instance, I have accessed the common fund to pay my school fees before. Now, this common fund is from you, the taxpayers. I finished the university and the government is not employing me. Is the common fund not a waste on my life? It should give me the opportunity to contribute to development.
At its first general meeting, the Ghana Disability Forum notes access to employment remains a major challenge for persons with disability. CPP flag bearer and member of the Ghana Disability Forum, Ivor Greenstreet, says he will address the issue of unemployment for all Ghanaians, particularly persons with disability.
We'll be taking specific steps in the form of, affirmative action, in the form of legislation to try and ensure that they're able to access employment. But in terms of creating the employment itself, I think that employment that is to be created will not be created just specifically for persons with disabilities, but created for all Ghanaians.
He explains that it is imperative to scale up efforts to increase employment opportunities for persons with disability.
There are other accessibility needs for those who are partially sighted or have problems with sight, or those who have hearing difficulties. And so for them, accessibility might be that at a police station, at least there should be one person who is trained to be able to communicate in sign language. Or if you are at a maternity ward in a hospital, there's somebody there who can also communicate in sign language. So, it's a process that has been governed by legislation, and the laws are there requiring all of these things to be done.
Ivor Greenstreet says his administration would seek to develop rehabilitation centers across the country.
Well, the priestess of Bonyase Witches Camp is still grieving the closure of the camp. Bonyache Ashetu alleges most of the women and their children who were expected to be reintegrated with their families have suffered more discrimination in their communities and have died. Eva Atibuka has the rest of the story.
In the center of Bonyase is the witches' camp where Ashetu lives. Her face portrayed clear signs of pain and depression. The camp was empty at the time of our visit. Doors to the previously occupied chalets were shut, with no sign of people living in them. Over 24 women and children were occupying them. The women and their children were accused of witchcraft from several communities. Some allegedly escaped lynching, while others suffered banishment. The Bonyase Witches Camp became their safest havens. And 85-year-old Bonyache Ashetu, priestess of the Bonyase camp, was their protector.
Any person who is accused of witchcraft and runs here is protected at the camp. Traditionally, no one can come in here and beat up anybody.
The Ministry of Gender, Children and Social Protection wants such women and their children reintegrated into their communities by closing down the Bonyase camp last year. But a year on, Bonyache Ashetu tells a sad story. She says their plights were rather aggravated.
Their relatives sacked them days after the integration. I'm told some have died and others are living on the streets. Ideally, Their relatives would have come for them if they really needed them.
Women living in other wage camps lauded the integration, but say the process of integrating them into their communities was inappropriate.
He says the senior brothers all are going, he died. So if they don't come ask about food, he can't like it to go and blow and take it to them. Unless they come for chief. Say, beg, chief, we need our mother. Before he go. But when they don't come for chief and anybody can tell us he should go back, he can't go.
If government is taking us home, then government would have to discuss with our relatives, and if they are ready to accept us, then we will join them.
They want government to support them at the camps till their relatives come for them.
So do share your comments on these stories that we have so far aired to you on our various social media platforms, Facebook, Twitter and News on TV3. That's how we wrap up for Mission Tonight.